welcome to the Business Standard Morning Show. I'm Nazia Iqbal. Let's take a look at the stories for the day. Indian Airlines have seen a steady rise in passenger traffic in the past 2 months. And just in time for the festival season, the government has allowed domestic flights to operate at 100% capacity. This, coupled with other announcements by the government, is supporting the revival of India's civil aviation sector. Let us see what is playing in the industry's favor. If the recent indicators are anything to go by, India's aviation sector is seeing a solid revival after pandemic-related turbulence. On October 9, domestic airlines flew more than 3 lakh passengers for the first time since February. While this is still a shade shy of the pre-COVID level of 350,000 daily flyers, things are certainly looking up for the sector. Major airports saw heavy crowds and long queues last weekend, indicating the comeback of air travel. The country's 2 biggest airports, Delhi and Mumbai, are reopening terminals that had been closed earlier due to low footfalls. In what comes as a shot in the arm ahead of the peak holiday season, the government has allowed airlines to operate at 100% capacity from October 18. At present, this limit is 85%. Data from aviation regulator DGCA show that the average load factor of major airlines was 70% in August. The country's biggest airline, Indigo, said its current load factor was at 75 to 80%. It is operating 1,200 flights daily, which is around 80% of its pre-COVID-19 capacity. India is also reopening its borders for tourists after 18 months. The government will start issuing fresh tourist visas from October 15 to foreigners who are coming through chartered flights. Those who want to visit India on regular commercial flights will be able to do so from November 15. Rules pertaining to their testing, quarantine, and vaccination are yet to be laid out. To help the tourism industry, the government is giving out visas to the first 5 lakh tourists free of cost. This scheme will be applicable till March next year. In 2019, India had seen nearly 11 million international tourist arrivals, which translated into $30 billion of foreign exchange. With the sale of Air India to the Tata Group concluding by the end of this year and Jet Airways resuming operations soon after, the new year promises to be full of new beginnings for Indian aviation. Also, Akasa Air, the new airline backed by billionaire Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, which received a no-objection certificate from the government on October 11, expects to start flying next year. Akasa Air still requires a clearance from the DGCA besides other permissions. Jhunjhunwala has joined hands with former Indigo president Aditya Ghosh and Jet Airways CEO Vinay Dubey to launch this low-cost carrier. As aviation demand inches towards the pre-pandemic level, the time may be ripe for Akasa Air to start operations. One major headwind that might work against the industry, meanwhile, is the high price of aviation turbine fuel. Fuel now accounts for 40% of the cost of running an airline in India. In Chennai, state-run fuel retailers have increased ATF prices by 9% in the past month and 83% in the past year to about 74,500 rupees per kiloliter. The increase comes amid a rise in global crude oil prices, reflecting an improving demand. Further, the government's refusal to do away with fare caps that have been in place since May last year will also impact the aviation market's recovery. The floor prices were imposed by the government to protect financially weaker airlines during the pandemic, while upper limits ensured that customers were not overcharged. Now that demand is back, airlines have been asking for restrictions on fares to be lifted. In a minor relief, the government last month allowed airlines to set their own fare for travel beyond 15 days from the date of booking, instead of the earlier 30. This is expected to increase competition among the airlines during the holiday season. If the current trend sustains and there is no sudden surge in COVID-19 infections, the Indian civil aviation sector may be on the verge of a turnaround. With more than 100 films slated for release over the next 4 months, India's film industry is experiencing a rebirth of sorts after the pandemic affected its business. Producers are seeing this as an opportune time to release some of their big titles which were postponed because of COVID-19. Let us take a look at what is playing in their favor.
After 1.5 years, theatres across India have started reopening with confidence as more and more states are lifting restrictions. India is by far the world's largest producer of films, with around 1,800 releases every year in several languages. In a booster shot for the industry, about 100 films are expected to be released in the next 4 months, coinciding with the festival season. Movie releases that were delayed because of the pandemic are hitting the big screens. Last week, the Maharashtra government allowed cinema halls to reopen from October 22nd with 50% seating capacity. The state largely determines the commercial success or failure of Hindi movies, as it is the biggest market for Bollywood, accounting for 30% of its all India box office revenues. It is also the home to 1/5 of India's 3,200 multiplexes. Once the cinemas in Maharashtra resume operations, it means that nearly 97% of the country's total movie screens will be open. Most states have allowed cinemas to operate with 50% occupancy to ensure social distancing. But some states like Karnataka, Telangana and Rajasthan are allowing 100% occupancy in theatres. According to the Multiplex Association of India, the releases in the next 3 months will help box office collections hit around Rs 6,000 crore this year, compared with a dismal Rs 2,000 crore last year as movie halls were closed from March. The collections are expected to reach Rs 10,000 crore next year, the same level as in 2019. PVR Pictures CEO Kamal Gyanchandani said there had been a 25% increase in the number of movie releases when compared with the pre-COVID time. There was going to be at least one potential blockbuster every 2 weeks in Hindi. What reinforces the confidence of the industry is that India's largest cinema chain PVR plans to add 40 screens across the country in this financial year, matching its pre-pandemic level of expansion. Rival multiplex operator Inox Leisure is looking to add 20 screens by March next year. According to a report by Ernst & Young, India had around 9,527 screens in 2019. Out of these, 6,327 were in single-screen theatres and 3,200 multiplex screens. However, last year saw the steepest drop in the number of single screens, with 1,000 of them estimated to have permanently shut down due to the impact of the coronavirus lockdowns. Even in the past few months, several producers had opted to directly release their films on streaming platforms as crowds were hesitant to return to theatres. But that may be about to change as India's aggressive vaccination drive is playing favourably for the industry. With 70% of the country's adult population partially vaccinated and 25% fully, theatre owners are positive about more people safely returning to theatres. The success of the film industry this year, however, hinges on there being no third wave of the pandemic. Theatres are hoping for a turnaround, especially after a good response to Daniel Craig's final James Bond movie, No Time to Die. The film was released on 30th September after a delay of nearly 2 years. Cinemas generally are anticipating brisk business and producers have lined up several releases for Diwali and Christmas.
Wednesday's trading session clearly belonged to Tata Group stocks, with select stocks like Tata Motors, Tata Power zooming as much as 20% each on the back of the TPG investment in Tata Motors' electric business unit. What will be the focus in today's trade? Let's take a look.
Market bulls extended their winning ways into a fifth straight session yesterday as macroeconomic tailwinds put stocks in top gear. The frontline indices and the overall BSE MCAP registered new highs in trade as encouraging macroeconomic data and hopes of strong Q2 earnings bolstered sentiment. The BSE Sensex and the NSE Nifty registered new peaks, while the market capitalization of the BSE listed firms swelled by 2.4 trillion rupees to 270.76 trillion rupees. Tata Group stocks, however, stole the show after TPG Rise committed to investing Rs 7,500 crore in Tata Motors Electric Business Unit. The group's overall market cap rose by Rs 64,217 crore in a single day, with Tata Motors alone seeing addition of Rs 30,952 crore to its market cap. Top gainers in the space included the Tata Motor Twins, Tata Power, Tata Chemicals, and Tata Investment Corporation. Going ahead, markets will not only react to Infosys and Wipro numbers, which were released after market hours yesterday, but will shift their focus to HCL Technologies, which is scheduled to announce its earnings today. Analysts expect a double-digit year-on-year revenue growth for HCL Tech between 12 and 13% for Q2 of FY 2022. The strong recovery, they say, will be led by the ramp-up of large deals won in the earlier quarters. That said, profit growth may be flat, with many brokerage projections ranging from 3 to 6% year-on-year. Besides, a few other notable companies like Century Textiles, Cyient, Den Networks, Electrotherm, Indiabulls Real Estate, Inox Winds and Radhe Developers are also scheduled to report their September quarter results today. On the macroeconomic front, after better-than-expected retail inflation and factory output numbers, market participants will keenly watch wholesale inflation numbers today. Economists expect WPI-based inflation to soften a wee bit to 11.2% in September. Overall, global cues, fund flows, inflation worries, and stock-specific action will also continue to guide the market sentiment today.
There is, as we know, a lot of activity in India's electric vehicle market. With concerns around climate change and a push to green mobility, a lot of ICE-based vehicles are also coming up with electric variants of their products. And Ola's entry in the e-scooters segment has charged up the electric two-wheeler market too. Also, the government's PLI scheme for the automobile sector has a clear focus on promoting green mobility. In addition to all this, we hear about hydrogen as a fuel and a class of EVs that will not require external charging. Yes, we are talking about fuel cell electric vehicles. So, what are FCEVs? Let's find out in this segment.
From established names like Tata Motors to new age technology companies like Ather Energy and Ola, the automobile sector is shifting its focus to electric vehicles in view of an unprecedented rise in pollution levels and the climate change crisis therefore. The first breed of EVs to come out in the market are battery electric vehicles. Though good, these vehicles are not an alternative to the internal combustion engine or ICE based vehicles simply because they have a limited range per charge capacity and are dependent on external charging systems. On that note, the fuel cell electric vehicles, or FCEVs as they are called, make a better alternative to ICE based vehicles. How? Let's find out. First, let's understand what is a fuel cell electric vehicle. The FCEV is a type of electric vehicle that does not require external charging, but a fuel like hydrogen to generate current required by the electric vehicle for mobility and to charge the built-in batteries for auxiliary functions. Much like the ICE-based vehicles, the FCEVs will require fuel, but a green one that does not pollute the environment. How do FCEVs work? The FCEVs are electric vehicles that derive energy from a fuel cell powered by hydrogen instead of drawing it from battery only. Unlike conventional electric vehicles, where the battery is the primary source for vehicle traction, FCEVs use electricity generated by hydrogen-powered fuel cells and need the battery for auxiliary functions like starting the vehicle or storing energy generated from regenerative braking. Therefore, the FCEVs do not require plug-in capability to charge the battery, but need hydrogen as a fuel to operate. Are FCEVs available in India? Well, FCEVs are currently not available in India, but they have been tested here. Earlier this year, the country's largest power generator, National Thermal Power Corporation or NTPC, had asked the automobile industry to procure such vehicles for pilot projects. News reports suggest that international automobile makers Toyota and Hyundai Motor and India's Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland and KPIT Technologies had shown interest in this initiative.
That's all we have for you today. We will be back tomorrow with more news and analysis in our next episode. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.